It's Monday, February 18th, and you're listening to The Geek at Geek News Central, the longest continuous running tech podcast. This is show number 837, sponsored in part by GoDaddy.com. Our February GoDaddy special, get 28% off. This is a limited time offer. Use promo code GO28OFF1. And by DYN, get faster internet by using Dyn. For DNS, visit dyn.com/podcast30. Hey, folks, want to give a quick congratulations to Danica Patrick for making the poll of the Daytona 500, first woman in history to make a sprint car poll. So this is pretty historic. Talk a little bit more about that later. I got a great show lined up for you tonight. You know what comes next. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphones.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right, I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There's no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to Geek News Central, coming to you as live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii, overlooking the great state of Honolulu. Great state of Hawaii. Did I say that like 3 times? I don't know what I was doing. I think I read the script twice or something. Hey, everyone, welcome to the show. And yes, it's Todd Cochran live here in Hawaii. Wow. Great state, Honolulu. Where did that come from? Anyway, hey, everyone, welcome to the show. All of you that are new and thinking, if you're new, you're thinking, man, what am I doing listening to this show? But for all the longtime listeners, thanks for being here. And, of course, for those of you that are new, thanks for checking us out. And I encourage you to subscribe to the show. And that way you'll never miss a single time that I screw up at the beginning of the show. And but I tell you, it's been a great weekend here in Hawaii, and actually it's past the weekend, but the kids were off school today because of the holiday. And my lovely wife has kept me busy here, doing all kinds of honeydew stuff. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But hey, if you're checking us out for the very first time, I want to welcome you, and make sure you get over to geeknewscentral.com. Check out the site over there. There's an easy way to get subscribed to our newsletter, and of course, get subscribed to the podcast as well. You'll find all that there right on the main page at Geek News Central. You can't miss it. Get subscribed via iTunes or your favorite podcatcher on whatever device you're particularly using these days. And that way you'll never miss a single episode. That newsletter will guarantee you get the show notes delivered directly to your inbox immediately following the show. Of course, if you want to watch the show post-show, you can watch it right at geeknewscentral.com or on our apps on the Roku, Boxy, Samsung TV, Google TV. We're all there underneath the Tech Podcast channel. You can find us, of course, on the Google TV, and just bring up the website itself as well. And, of course, we want you to feel free to reach out to the show and bombast me for my idiosyncrasies. And, boy, I'm batting 1,000 tonight. But on Twitter, you can tweet me at Geek News. You can email me, geeknews@gmail.com, or you can call our hotline at 619-342-7365 to leave a comment. Feel free to do so. That's open 24 hours a day for your pleasure. And those of you that are outside the United States, +1 619-342-7365. We're up tonight on Ustream. We're up on Livestream. We're up on the ad-free stream at Geek News Central at live.geeknewscentral.com. And so hope you guys are enjoying the show from one of those vantage points. And I'm definitely watching what's happening in the chat room. We'll keep you keep abreast of what you folks have to say tonight. And my phone is immediately going nuts. Who's tweeting me? Announcements from live stream saying, yes, he's live. Yes, he is. And most of you are asleep. But, hey, folks, I want to welcome to the show. And, again, Geek News Central is part of the Tech Podcast Network over at techpodcast.com. If you haven't been over there recently, I encourage you to do so. Take a few minutes and check out the website. And we've been, I tell you what, we're getting ready to add a bevy of shows. We've had a number of applications here in recent days, and my show's up front and center right now with our special media feed. I'll talk about that in a second. But bevy of shows joining the network, so we'll be making some announcements of some new shows over there, which we'll be really glad to add, and some impressive new content coming on board. Well, the team of writers has been busy even through the weekend, posting more articles. And basically, we are trying to wrap up the CES postings this week. I don't know if we're going to get them all done, but if you haven't been following the website over the three-day weekend or back at work on Monday, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's been put up. Vivitech, there's a audio control video, there's a modular robotics video, there's active video for cloud TV, there's Lucy. It's a pretty cool product that's environmentally friendly and designed to help third world countries. Zoom stand from the F5 guys. Talk about Altair's LTE chipsets, which is kind of a deep techie content. But T-Rain retractable gear, and of course we got a posting up on Danica and a lot more. So there's a lot of stuff going on. Make sure you are subscribed to the special media feed, because we've been putting stuff in there hot and heavy, and we don't want you to miss a single episode of the great content that we created. And I think I was looking in the spreadsheet today. It's going to be well over 250 total articles that we're going to put up. So I don't know where the final count's going to end up, but the guys have been doing a good job. We were a little slow getting out of the stack this year after the show, just largely because of some time. People got sick and everything else. So I feel like we're a little bit under the gun, but not too bad. All right, well, just take a few seconds here, and I want to thank our sponsor, GoDaddy.com. And I tell you, this is a great time to save money over at GoDaddy. We've got those $2.95.com domains still available. You can get up to 3 of those. We've also got, again, that 28% off basically on renewals and new products. And really, this is a great savings. This is a great time to renew. You got to knock this out in the next 12 days, or this code will be gone. Go 28 off 1 is the promo code, and we're hoping that they're going to put something out for Daytona 500. I'll keep my eyes peeled if we're going to get a special code for the month or not. But definitely go over to GoDaddy, check out all their great products and services. And, GoDaddy has been with us a long time here, and the deals just keep getting better and better and better. And I'm really impressed with some of the offers they've made available to us in recent months. That 47% off one, that was just a whopper. It was a great deal for people picking up new services, but that one has done expired. But if you want to find all my codes, all you got to do is come over to geeknewscentral.com, and there's a link about a quarter of the way down the page. It says GoDaddy promo codes. Click on that, and that's going to take you to the site where there's really all the promo codes for you to use, and really they're all there, and everything that you can save money on with stuff that I have been made available to me, you can use. And if you find one that doesn't work, definitely email me and let me know. But go over to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy, and you'll find all the codes on the website, and that'll be the best way for you to connect and find. There's a deal there for everybody. There's something there where you're going to save yourself a lot of money. I want to thank GoDaddy for being, again, a sponsor here at Geek News Central. I use the product, live it, love it. Matter of fact, I just logged into one of my servers, was it Friday? And I don't think the box had been rebooted in like 279 days. So just out of, I rebooted the thing, and there was no issue, but just sit there and hammers away. Server does. And knock on wood. It's one of those deals where when there's no issues, you're really, really happy, and it's been that way. It's been that way for a while. Oh, well, I tell you, having been gone, right there after New Year's, been home a week, really didn't have much time to more than recover from Vegas, and then right back out to Texas for 3 weeks. There was quite the list of stuff that was built up for me to do for my lovely wife, and she made it very clear Saturday, well, we'll talk first of all. Well, let's talk about, I guess, Sunday. After we'd been out Saturday, she basically wanted the garage from top to bottom, and I mean, our storage is above the garage, our crawl space, and we live in a single story home, and so all of our excess storage has got, it's all basically got plywood and everything, and we can put a lot of stuff up there. And she had a whole bunch of tubs that was, his, older clothes, stuff that, really you don't get into a lot. And she told me, I want that whole wall cleared. I want that all upstairs because this is my new work area. I'm like, okay. And one thing about, my wife's Japanese, she's from Okinawa. And one thing you never tell your Japanese wife is there's no more room for stuff. Up she came into the attic, and she was like, "What are you talking about? There's plenty of room." And proceeded to completely rearrange my organization boxes and stuff. And there was a lot of room. She definitely said, see, you just don't know how to stack stuff and organize. And it's true. She definitely put stuff where I would have never put it, but it all worked out. And the garage, the upstairs is much fuller, but the the garage is pretty empty. But in the process, she had me some tight nicks and corners, and our roof is a slate. It's a slate shingle, and a lot of the nails are, a little bit of the nail sticks through the plywood. And I got the back of my head cut about. Well, she said I needed to go to the hospital for stitches, and of course I'm like, nah, I don't need to go to the hospital for stitches. But I got a big gash in the back of my head, and boy, of course, it bled like crazy. And my daughter went up there later, and she says, it looked like someone was murdered up here because, yeah, I splattered blood all over the place. That was not nice. But anyway, the garage is absolutely clean, and we've got a bunch of stuff to send to, we'd have a charity we donate to, so we're going to be taking a bunch of stuff there. And I think she's ready for a garage sale. Fingers crossed. So we've got some stuff we're going to move out and lighten the load a little bit more and donate. We got some friends that need some additional furniture, so we've told them come over and get it. You guys are more than welcome to pick and choose what you want, and we'll see what we're left over with. But the garage is done. And believe me, that was a major undertaking. The studio here did get a quick once over. It's not quite where I need it, but it's in a lot better shape than what it was. So yes, I cleaned on Sunday, but Saturday went with my daughter to the and son to the state championship swim meet, and watched them swim in the two heats that they were in, and was able to attend that. That was nice to be able to get out and do that. But here in Honolulu, I mean, it's been like blowing. I mean, blowing. They had wind warnings out and craft advisories, and I mean, it was to the point where my windows were shaking a little bit in the evenings. They said gusts up to 50 and 60 miles per hour, so it's been pretty crazy here the past 3 days. And they say calmer trade winds are ahead, but I think we're going to get some more rain, which is good. Hey, as a reminder here before we get into the regular show, there's going to be no Thursday show. I'm going to be on an airplane headed towards the Windy City. The Raw Voice team is doing their annual retreat this weekend, so I will be out this Thursday. I'll be flying back to Honolulu on Monday. There will be a Monday night show. Don't know what shape I'm going to be in. Should be in pretty good shape. I've got first class seats there and back. Caught an upgrade already. So Thursday will be a no show. And I'm not going to do a makeup show. Just it's going to be too difficult this week with everything else going on. So just thought I'd let you know that. So, no, of course, there was no Saturday morning tech either this past Saturday due to my daughter's and son's state championship swim meet. So, again, we're just going to keep the content coming. Don't worry, there's enough stuff going in the special media feed to keep you all busy. All right, let's take care of one last sponsor here, and then we'll get into the full-blown content as we normally do. And I got a great stack of stuff for you today. Even though I think some of the news agencies were just maybe a little bit off. Maybe they weren't running full staffs today or something like that. But this is one of those floater holidays, so I think most organizations were up and running. Of course, we want to talk about Dyn, and that's DYN, Dyn.com. And the more I read about their email services, the more impressed I am with some of the stuff they're doing. They're known for more than just DNS. And not only starter DNS systems for small websites all the way up to basically people that are needing real heavy load stuff. Their email stuff is something that is pretty incredible. Oftentimes, and this is something we see here at Raw Voice, is that we send out an email for an invoice, and 2 or 3 days later, I send an email back and said, "Hey, did you get my email?" And sometimes people say, "Never saw it." And there are really many reasons why someone may not get an email, and it could range from message being flagged as spam, the destination email server's down, the destination user email box is at quota, the destination user's email address doesn't exist as they no longer work there or the address changed, and or a company's SMTP server IP has been blacklisted. And, what do you do when your business relies on your customers getting an invoice? And invoices are critical. If you don't get to the invoice delivery, you're not going to get a check. So, and this is, Dyn was seeing the same thing. That was internal to Dyn. So what they did as their solution was simple. They updated their billing system to send all their emails through their own DYN ECT email delivery system. Their billing system was created originally and set up prior to their acquisition of SendLabs, which is now Carrier Pigeon, which was the underlying technology in the Dyn EC2 email delivery. And it was quite easy for them to change the SMTP email gateway to allow this functionality. And after they made the update, they immediately had a lot of powerful information from their billings and collection standpoint. And this graphic data that they provide really laid out what wasn't delivered, why, and gave them the details they needed to know to be able to reach the customer that maybe had an email bounce or wasn't delivered, or maybe was a blacklisted SMTP. So they were really proactive then in being able to reach out to those customers that weren't getting an email by. They picked up the phone and called them and said, "Hey, our email's not getting through to you. Do you have a new email address, or is there an issue?" And it really helped them get that narrowed down. And they really didn't have that ancillary data before. So this is one of the products that Dyn uses, and basically is available to folks like you and I. The Dyn ECT email can be used to improve collections and in the invoicing process. And of course, don't forget about their DNS services as well. So what I want you guys to do is, really, I want you to take a few minutes, and I want you to go over to Dyn's website at dyn.com, dyn.com/podcast30. And I want you to see how you can get faster internet by using Dyn for DNS. They also have support for IPv6. Dyn's all ramped up for that. And again, all you got to do is simply visit dyn.com, podcast30, and fill out the contact form. And really, it's a piece of cake to fill out that contact form. Just go over there, give them your name, your company name, your email, and phone number, and which service you're interested in, and they can help you. They'll just reach out to you and talk to you. Again, they're not gonna sell your email address or nothing to anyone else, and there'll be a Dyn representative that will call you back, or you can start shopping right away and save 30% by using the promo code podcast30 at checkout. Again, visit dyn.com/podcast30. You want to thank Dyn for being a sponsor here at Geek News Central. Love this product. Love their services. I tell you, they're really making an impression on me in a big way from a usability and user standpoint as well, because the interface just makes it really, really slick. Hey, one thing I want to remind you guys, if you've been over to Geek News Central website, you will notice on the website there is a link that says CES 2013 product announcements. If you click on that banner, that's going to take you to B&H, and it's going to basically give you access to all the products and services that were announced at CES. Some of the stuff you can pre-order, or some stuff's available already. So if it's time to update a gadget, piece of gear, audio gear, whatever it may be, a camera, they've got it over at B&H. And every time you click a banner, that's a B&H banner on our website, and go over and visit B&H, you help the show in a big way. So we want to thank B&H for working with us. And also definitely check out those specials that we post from time to time at GNC. Okay, let me go ahead and get into the full-blown tech show. That's what you guys are waiting for. And I do have a great stack of stuff. Let me clean that out. And let me say hello in the chat room to everyone. Hello. So let me go ahead now and bring up Chrome. And I'll go to the first article. One thing I wanted, I don't know if I talked about this on the last show or not. It's just something, it's a lot of my retired military buddies and folks I still know they're on active duty are really grinding their teeth over this new cyber soldiering medal. And it's pretty high ranking. It's sometimes higher ranking than what someone's going to get if they're on the front lines doing combat. And I tell you, it's got a lot of people up in arms. But if I talked about it on last show, I apologize. But I tell you, there's lots of discussion going on the retiree forums and on Facebook, and people find out about this. But I think the guys that are in combat deserve to have their medals recognized at a higher level than those that are back in some cozy trailer, air-conditioned trailer, out of harm's way, flying a joystick. I'm not saying it isn't hard duty. I'm just saying it's different. And I wish they would not underrate the guys that are in combat's medals. All right, moving on here. Boy, I tell you, during the last show, I had some folks in the chat room was talking about that meteorite that basically went boom in a big way over Russia. And the folks are reporting on this. This crowd, everyone's seen the news on this, but this was as they estimate, was a 55-foot meteorite in the 10-ton range. And so that's pretty incredible. And they say that the energy released during the event was in the neighborhood of 500 kilotons. Now, just remember, a lot of this, that wasn't impact detonation. That was airburst detonation. And that's why the shock waves blew out so many windows from such a very far distance. But people are on the lookout for these fragments now. Now they're looking to pick up pieces of this thing, and get the bounty hunters that are looking for that stuff are going to be, they say, big. So pretty cool. We'll keep an eye on this and just hope that one of these doesn't fly over your neighborhood or part of the country, because if it does, it could do a lot more damage than what it did. But pretty impressive on the videos that were caught and what was seen. One thing I want to talk about tonight, and this is kind of a weird topic for a tech show standpoint, and I've covered this a few times during the show, and I know this is a sensitive topic for some people, but there's so many folks out there that are talking about genetically modified crops. And, of course, GM crops are the target of significant worldwide controversy. And really, it's large in Europe and the United States. And here's the thing that kind of, that really kind of, I'm not a big GM conspiracy theorist at all. Because having grown up in the country, having grown up worked on at my grandfather's farm, we didn't personally have a farm, but my grandfather had a farm, and we raised animals and, had everything that went on with being in the country. And, I knew having, even in high school, back as early as maybe 1980, and having went up to Michigan State University and been involved in the ag program there, and doing some stuff that I was doing as, growing up in agriculture community. That's what you did. You did 4-H and FFA and those types of activities. So I learned a lot about genetic modified crops as early as, 1980. And, there was a lot of work being done even then and a lot of stuff growing in the ground, being put in the ground that was GM. And, no one really ever said too much about it. And I think the public had really no clue. As you would drive down a road and you would see, a DeKalb corn, there would be a DeKalb corn and there'd be a number on it. And in every quarter mile or so, there would be a different sign with a different number. Well, that was all crop varieties, and much of it GM, that was being put in the ground and tested. The crops have been genetically modified to resist pests and herbicides, to thrive in adverse environmental conditions, and quote unquote to enhance nutrition. Presently, GM crops are highly recommended, and GM crops are heavily regulated. But let's be honest, this has been going on for a long time. So every time I see someone, really going high and right on GM stuff, I'm like, you've been eating GM modified food for a long, long time, and it's been going on forever. And a lot of apple varieties were not necessarily genetically modified, but was crossbreeding of apple varieties and stuff. And, that's where some apple varieties came from is not necessarily GM stuff. But so I don't know. I'd love to hear from you guys on whether you have concerns over GM crops or not. And from a tech perspective, is it something that you watch for when you go into a grocery store? Do you look for a GM modified mark if that's required in the state that you live in or not? But there's a lot of people saying that the current regulations on GM crops is counterproductive. And one of the guys that have making a case for this argues that the last 20 years have demonstrated overall safety of GM crops through multiple plantings and scientific studies. So where do you guys think this lays? Do you care at all? Is it something that you worry about? Which bandwagon are you on? Love to hear your feedback on that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get off the non-tech topic, really. But let's get on now something about dark matter. Has dark matter been found? Well, apparently there's some big news coming. Big news in the search of dark matter may be coming in about 2 weeks. The leader of a space-based particle physics experiment said Sunday at the annual meeting of the American Association for the Advancements of Science that there's going to be a new paper coming out as a result from the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer, which is a particle collector mounted on the outside of the International Space Station. Again, will be submitted to a scientific journal, said MIT physicist Samuel Ting. They said that this particular paper has had a lot of scrutiny. It's been written and revised about 30 times. So we may be seeing some stuff coming on dark matter. What does that mean for all of us? I don't know. But the scientists are pretty excited about it. And, this machine was a $2 billion machine that was installed on the International Space Station in May 2011. And so far, it has detected 25 billion particle events, including about 8 billion electrons and positrons. So we'll see what we find here and what they report. But these scientists are pretty excited, and a lot of scrutiny has went to this report that's coming out here in a couple of weeks. So we'll keep you advised. Yeah. How many of you have seen this new LED headlight or headlamp that Audi is introducing? Well, it's been approved in the EU, but they're having trouble getting it approved here in the United States. When Audi asked the National Highway Transportation Administration for a ruling, then NHTSA demurred, unsure how to fit a square peg of a variable output matrix headlamp into the round hole they call low and high beam. So this new light, first shown on the Audi A2 concept car at the 2011 Frankfurt Auto Show, comprises of multiple segments that can be turned on or off as conditions warrant, And some elements could be steerable to help drivers go around corners, where they say if you combine it with a next generation GPS and steerable lamp could swivel before you even begin to turn the wheel. So this is pretty cool. But so we'll see if the DOT will start to address some of these new lighting technologies and see if we start seeing them come on vehicles. Mercedes-Benz is another company that's doing some stuff on this too. But let's see. I think it'd be cool to have some new headlamp technology. You would think that between high and low beam, we could come up with something a little better with the type of lighting material that's out there available today. All right, moving on to the next topic. Rumors claim that Google will be launch its own retail stores maybe by as early as the next holiday period. So there was a report that surfaced on 9 to 5 Google that Google is making serious plans to open a permanent retail locations, and it was followed up today by the Wall Street Journal indicating the same thing. Both cite unmanned sources who claim that the company wants to provide space for customers to try out the Nexus device software like the Chrome browser and unnamed upcoming products. So this is kind of interesting as Google moves into hardware here with the potential of having Apple-style brand in physical stores. We could see this big shootout, Google, Apple, and Microsoft. So time will tell whether or not this happens, but kind of an interesting move by the folks at Google. Let me flip this to the last article of the day. I don't want to talk about that. Let me move up here. Technology is being used all over the place. MIT, and let me show you this. Well, I don't know if it's an actual prototype or not. MIT and the U.S. Army have been working on crafting uniforms with full-body fiber optic sensors. So basically, with military wanting the soldiers to carry an increasing amount of tech on the battlefield, MIT and the U.S. Army have started to work on a uniform with fiber optic sensors that would alleviate much of that burden by weaving in microfibers cut from a mix of specialized fluidized materials. The partnership could build data links that cover the entire body without breaking or adding significant bulk. They could serve as the basic elements of a communication system. But MIT has broader ambitions. The sensors could track wounds through heat signatures and just might prevent friendly fire incidents by sending a don't shoot signal when targeted with a laser sight. The fibers still have to get a much thinner before the Army can offer smart uniform as standard issue, but the wearable tech may keep soldiers nimble and just possibly save a few lives. So this is kind of cool. This is article is over on Engadget. Source was over at MIT, but pretty cool what they're doing with these potentially new uniforms. And here's something that's interesting to think about. Just as a point of reference, when you come into the military as a new recruit, you are issued your full set of gear. You get so many uniform items, dress. Certain stuff isn't provided. You have to buy that extra. But with that initial outfitting, you are given a clothing allowance, which is essentially issued to your paycheck and then immediately taken out. Now, why they do that, I don't know. But then every year, annually, the military members get a clothing allowance. And I think, if I remember correctly, it's $600 or $700 a year. You may think that's a lot, but the cost of some of these uniforms now, when I was active duty, I could go in and get, when I was prior to becoming a chief, I could get a pair of utilities for $50 off the shelf. That was shirt and pants. Embroidery and all that stuff would be extra. But today, these new uniforms are much more expensive, and it's just one set. A blouse and a pair of pants could cost as much as $150. Jackets, $300-400. It's not cheap. So their allowance that they get each year covers a portion of their uniform needs, but they have to buy more. So I can't even imagine what this uniform would cost, and how would it had to be issued as a special uniform item, and then maybe something that would be turned in, cleaned, and then reissued. That happens a lot with some of the specialized gear, but I think it's incredible they're thinking about adding fiber optic sensors to the actual uniform itself, this would have to be pretty rugged because these guys crawl, roll, get stuff beat up. They're humping backpacks. You just, you name it. Um, there's definitely the used uniforms get a lot of wear and tear as you would expect. So we'll see what happens when they start issuing smart uniforms. I think it's kind of cool. Don't even want to think about what it's going to cost. Oh, someone's saying, I just thought of oh, I won't even repeat that on the show. Sly Fox is making a comment in the chat room. Hey, Netgear, the PTV 3000 is updated and supports Miracast ready Android devices. So this is cool. So if you have an Android phone and it is a Miracast ready, you want to get your Netgear push to TV PTV 3000 adapter. And basically, it's kind of gives you the same type of functionality as AirPlay does on the iPad or iPhone or iOS products. So definitely check this out. This is a nice update, and again, supporting like the LG Optimus G, the Samsung Galaxy S3, Galaxy Note 2. A variety of different devices are going to be supported with Miracast. Again, the Netgear PTV 3000 has been updated. Today, the folks over at Burger King woke to having their Twitter account hacked. And basically, someone hacked their account and basically put a McDonald's logo on it. So, I can't imagine the furry that was happening over at Burger King today. But someone, again, took over its Twitter account. And they actually announced that the company had been sold to its rival and then made a few other comments as well. But the site was up for quite a while, 4 or 5 hours before it got took down. And actually, Twitter took the site completely down, or the profile completely down. So I'm sure the folks at Burger King are going to be trying to recoup and get back online on Twitter. But probably not a nice thing to wake up to. And also someone saying in chat room, heavy evidence points towards Anonymous doing the hack because of some of the tweets had at follow signs that pointed back to some anonymous accounts. The Verge is reporting that Intel could become the company to finally crack internet TV, and everyone else has tried, and I'm thinking, why? If you think about Intel and TV, it just really doesn't make a lot of sense. There's there's not a direct alignment. But some people are thinking that because really Intel doesn't have anything in play, they don't have anything going on with any of the content creators. They're a data company. They're a chip company. So, Intel is basically going to be making a move here. Because I think the way they feel they may have success is that they have no conflict of interest with television. And it has no strategy taxes. In other words, there's no impact whether or not someone tries to penalizes them for rolling out this. And Intel saying, we're not trying to take semiconductor personal and turn them into software. We're not trying to take semiconductor personal and turn them into software and media experts. This is a completely separate group that's doing this. And they're saying, don't think of Intel as a chip company. Think of Intel as a technological standard company. And so, Intel's licensed the X1 reference design from Comcast for its own set-top box. And when the licensing was deal in October, the thought was that Intel would build boxes for other cable providers. Now, maybe they still will, but it's clearly going to be adapting some of that technology for its own over-the-top service. So this could end up being big. We'll see where this goes. And, of course, the Intel media team is led by a well-known person in this space who helped develop the iPlayer for the BBC. So, again, we'll see where this leads. And, again, Intel could be the company to finally crack internet TV. Time will tell. We'll definitely be following. I'll be picking up one of their boxes as soon as it's available. All right, Microsoft is quietly quietly raised the price of Mac Office by up to 17%. So if you are getting ready to buy Office and you're a Mac user, they've made an increase. So a single license Office for Mac Home and Student now costs $140, up from $120. Office for Mac and Business, in addition to adds Outlook email, client to the Home and Student, and Excel, runs $220 or 10% higher than the previous $200 price. So they bumped it up. And again, these new prices are identical to those of Office 2013 for Windows, as are the percentage increases. So and really probably no surprise there at all that they bumped up the Mac prices as well. The University of Oxford has temporarily blocked Google Docs. Well, it turns out that the reason they had to block it, the Oxford University Computer Service Department revealed that the service was being frequently used for illegal activities which would threaten the security of the school's system and data. So in other words, there was all kinds of phishing attacks going on. Plus, there was some vulnerabilities being put into the docs that were causing machines to be hacked. So they completely reduced the ability of students to get to Google Docs on the Oxford domain and trying to halt these phishing attacks going against students and staff members. Another article over on The Verge, Sprint has switched on LTE in some parts of San Francisco, New York City, and Washington, D.C. So this is exciting. Finally, Sprint has switched on 4G LTE network in some pockets of San Francisco, New York City, and other parts of New York State, Washington, D.C., and some cities in Florida, including Jacksonville, Miami, and Tampa, as spokesperson Kelly told the basically Reist. And so anyway, they're saying deployment is just beginning. Coverage area is somewhat hard to describe because sites generally aren't continuous. There are sites on air in around San Francisco, kind of like popcorn. So the new pockets of service come in addition to the 58 areas that Sprint announced in its latest coverage update in late January. So more sites are coming online for Sprint 4G. And I wish they would put another tower in my neck of the woods. If you are on Blackberry Enterprise Server vulnerable to malware from TIFF images, BlackBerry has announced that vulnerabilities in its BlackBerry Enterprise Server could possibly allow malicious code and image files to be executed remotely. For regular BlackBerry users, this is not an issue, but for a BlackBerry Enterprise Server administrator, this vulnerability is a major issue. And the flaw has been rated as a high severity. And basically, a malicious person would write a special code and then embeds it in a TIFF image file. The person then convinces a BlackBerry smartphone user whose phone is connected to a corporate BES to view the TIFF file. As soon as the image file loads on the phone, the code runs on the BlackBerry Enterprise Server and either opens up a backdoor in the network or causes the network to crash altogether as instructed in the basic code. So this is big. We don't know when this is going to be they did announce solutions within its advisory message and it's also published a workaround. So if you're a BES administrator, you're probably aware of this. If not, you are now. One thing I find absolutely fascinating is basically the advancement in prosthetics. One of my good high school friends' father had lost an arm in a tornado in 1964. And really, for 30 plus years, he wore the same prosthetic arm that he got and a few minor upgrades here and there, but it was really no technology to it. It was very mechanical and it had a little gripper and a few other things. But, I never really thought, we all as kids saw the Bionic Man and, dreamed of these types of things being able to be brought to market for amputees. But with this new mind-controlled prosthetic arm, it's going to hit trials this year. And so what's going on now is researchers developed a prototype. And this thing, it's straight out of Terminator. Basically, this prosthetic sends information two ways, from the brain to the hand and vice versa. The mind-controlled hand, which is connected by electrodes to two of the primary nerves in the arm, is being called the first prosthetic that will provide real-time sensory feedback for grasping. And this work's going on in Switzerland. And but they're basically saying that they are getting ready to do bigger trials. And they have done an initial 4-week trial with an earlier prototype. Talked about the results on that. But this new clinical trial is going to be run with an Italian man in his 20s. And so basically, this is pretty exciting stuff. 10 years, I think this is really going to be the standard. And we're going to have great prosthetic arms for people that lose limbs. We've already come a long ways. But this is, to me, is just is really good news. And this kind of ties into some other stuff that's been going on, too, that we'll talk about a little later in the show about building, like replacement hearts and that kind of stuff, and the work that's going towards that. For those of you that are, the science types, scientists have found a weird new property of matter that breaks all the rules. And it's one of those eureka moments, but not going to be duplicated in your home lab. But basically, for the past 25 years, physicists observed a persistent glitch while conducting experiments that involved cooling uranium, uranium compound to nearly absolute zero. So obviously, you're not going to get your hands on this unless you're working at a lab that has this. But when this compound was cooled to minus 438 degrees Fahrenheit, they would see a fall in the amount of chaos in the system. The molecules seemed to snap into an ordered state, letting out a burst of heat the science couldn't account for. So really this goes into what's going on here, but the scientists are completely baffled about this new property. They've measured it, quantified it, and really what they're saying is this is going to obviously lead to some quantum mechanics type stuff. So basically, they really don't know the full impact of it, but they say it took 200 years to understand classical mechanics and what energy was. Quantum mechanics is 100 years old, but their ideas are just beginning to touch upon on what can be done and how it's going to affect. So this is, some pretty cool stuff. And if you read through it, it could lead to all kinds of weird theories, including teleportation, time travel, and more. I'm not kidding. This is, the way this stuff works and the crisscrossing and doubling back of the magnetic lines could really be some crazy stuff. All right, how many phones? Oh, only rang once. That's amazing. Someone got it quick. All right, fellas, listen up. All right, I want you to really pay attention to this, and I know none of you are going to fall for this, but please listen. Sexy scammers are enticing men into stripping on webcam, recording what you're doing on the webcam, then using that video to blackmail you. Now, this is largely going on in Asian countries right now. Police in Singapore have issued an alert citing a dramatic rise in the number of cyber blackmail cases being reported. But unlike many cases that target women or teenagers, this latest rash of crimes target men through social media sites. So basically, there's been about 50 reported cases in the last year where foreign women have lured men through invitations on social networks such as Facebook and other sites into adult sessions that are recorded for blackmail purposes. So I know you're not going to fall for this, but imagine them taking a video of you and basically saying, pay up or we're going to put it out on the net. Pretty scary stuff. But just keep your pants on, okay? Cellular data traffic keeps doubling every year. Worldwide mobile data traffic doubled over the past year and is expected to continue growing. Telecom equipment maker Ericsson said in research released today. They said by the end of 2012, global data traffic on mobile networks, not including Wi-Fi, hit around 1,300 petabytes per month, twice as much as in the previous year. I don't think we're all surprised about that. There is some dispute a little bit on some of the numbers, but a lot of third world countries are starting to really see huge increases because the mobile networks are getting better there and a lot of people are more using mobile data. Now, if this doesn't really kind of surprise all of you, nothing will, but Pirate Bay says it's filed a police report alleging copyright infringement. The Pirate Bay said today it filed a report with the Finnish police alleging that an anti-piracy group committed copyright infringement when it created a Pirate Bay parody site. Pirate Bay said it will sue the makers of the copycat website for copyright infringement. And boy, if that isn't calling the kettle black, that's pretty funny. And but basically, this parody site provides a similar interface as the real Pirate Bay, but all of these links lead to a site with the message say you got lucky. Movies, TV shows, music, game, and books are all just a few clicks away and totally legal, but it's being run by an anti-piracy group. So sounds like a big honeypot, but definitely kind of a funny development there from the Pirate Bay. Cell phones are starting to be used as tracking systems, and basically being used to see how traffic flows and where traffic jams are, and at some point we hope be able to be used to route traffic around those areas. You know, smartphones have changed the way we drive, both by adding new distractions and helping us get where we're going with GPS-assisted directions and real-time information on traffic jams. But they're saying that smartphones could help eliminate some traffic jams. The Boston Globe described the study that MIT done in conjunction with UC Berkeley that analyzed the cell phone records of 680,000 Boston area commuters through call logs, which identified the towers used to transmit calls, allowing the research to trace each individual's commute anonymously from origin to destination, and they've come up with a detailed map of urban traffic patterns ever constructed. And they've talked about how by delaying 1% of drivers in a specific region would reduce the commute time by as much as 18%. All they were talking about is reducing people maybe a minute or two, and basically, you know, sitting in your driveway and your phone tells you when you can drive out of your driveway and move, and essentially making your commute faster by just waiting a few more minutes to leave or by rerouting you somewhere. So this is pretty cool stuff. And I think, having sat in traffic jams here in Honolulu for the past 6 or 7 years and screamed at the top of my lungs at times, I cannot wait. I want to participate. But if you live in an area where there's more, routes, it's easy to deal with. But in Hawaii, we just have limited number of routes. Okay, next up, Kim.com will sell you a mega membership for just half a Bitcoin. They announced yesterday that the mega store service is now accepting payment via Bitcoin, which, of course, is an encrypted peer-to-peer digital currency that isn't backed by any government, obviously. While Mega allows free access to 50 gigs of storage, there's a payment plans allowing anywhere from 500 gigs to 4 terabytes. The exchange rate for 1 Bitcoin is just under 20 euros, with Mega's membership fees beginning at $9.99 per month. I believe pounds per month or euros per month. That means Bitcoin paying users can get on board for a little more than half of 1 Bitcoin. So very cool. So we'll see where this leads. This I did not know, but apparently a new tool's been developed, a new laser tool, which was funded by the European Space Agency to measure carbon on Mars, has been reappropriated to detect fake honey. So what they're doing is they're using this laser to work with the counterfeit goods trade, which is involved in the import of illegal honey. According to a food safety news investigation, more than a third of the honey consumed in the United States has been smuggled from China. You hear me listen to me on this. According to a food safety news investigation, more than a third of the honey consumed in the United States has been smuggled from China and may be tainted with illegal antibiotics and heavy metals. To make matters worse, some honey brokers create counterfeit honey using a small amount of real honey bulked up with sugar, malt sweeteners, corn, or rice syrup. and other additives known as honey laundering. This honey is often mislabeled and sold on as a legitimate, unadulterated honey in places such as Europe and the United States. Thanks to a new laser, the isotope radiometer developed at the Rutherford Appleton Laboratory at Harwell, this fake honey now can be detected. A detected device has a small, highly accurate laser designed to be sent to space. But again, they can basically look at the honey to be able to see if it's the real deal or not. So I don't know if this is being used now, but I tell you, when I was growing up, we could get honey locally from folks that had hives. We didn't have to buy it in the grocery store. And that was, I never really thought that there would be fake honey on the market or that we'd be getting honey from China. It's kind of scary, yeah. All the stuff that's going on with, Chinese food coming under so much scrutiny right now. And believe me, a lot of stuff that's coming in packaging here in Hawaii, everything that my wife buys that's packaged, she flips it over and looks at where it's made now. And so much stuff, she says, look at this. It's being made in China. And a product that we would have assumed have been made or packaged in the United States. So if you're buying any packaged food whatsoever, make sure you flip it over and look at where that food was manufactured at. And you might be surprised to see where some of this food's coming from. Be careful out there, okay? BBC is asking, could we all soon own our own drone? Rapid advances camera, sensing, aeronautics, battery, and autopilot navigation tech have helped make UAVs affordable, easy to operate, and increasingly reliable for individuals, civil authorities, and businesses alike. They got the small vertical VTOL, multi-propeller helicopters equipped with high-tech equipment are already saving big businesses millions of dollars. So they're saying that UAVs, we all may have UAVs soon. And I don't know about that. Buzzing around in my backyard and taking a video inside my bedroom window or something. That's, and I'm sure these little UAVs will be a peeping Tom's tool of choice here soon. But this is kind of an interesting discussion point about UAVs on the BBC. Astronauts answer Reddit site questions from space. Canadian Chris Hadfield, who will soon command the International Space Station in March, took part in a web chat on Sunday from space. So I have a link up to that. Some of the questions that were asked and the responses. Pretty good little feedback. More information about the ISS. Over at Extreme Tech, carbon nanotubes are being said to make it possible to grow a human heart. And I'm thinking to myself, whoa, that's big. Okay, is this going to load? Yes, it is. Let me flip the switch here. They're saying one of the most fundamental problems with growing organs in a petri dish is that organs don't grow in petri dishes normally. That is to say that naturally grown organs we'd like to replace were themselves grown in and amongst organs which were themselves grown in and amongst others. And they're starting to work on how they're going to start growing hearts and different types of stuff. But carbon nanotubes, anyone familiar with these will know their important features a combination of strength, flexibility, and conductivity. Some combinations of these virtues has made them import to virtually every advanced research and manufacturing sector, from space elevators to flexible computers. Now we must add conductive tissue development to that quickly growing list. And they say by laying the conductive carbon nanotubes coated with a growth medium, researchers are able to create a scaffold that mimic the utility of what they are calling Purkinje fibers. I have no idea what that is. By coating the scaffold in a rat, they were able to create a colony of heart cells capable of contraction. This isn't the first time they've gotten something synthetic to contract. And that's what it's really all about. Your heart's a big muscle, right? It contracts, it pumps the blood. So they're saying that this could be possible, these carbon nanotubes. Hey, order me one up. I'll take one of everything when I get to the point where I need one. There's a reporter in the Washington Post that's saying that bans on plastic bags may be making people sick. Um, there's a paper out that found that foodborne illnesses in San Francisco increased 46% after the bag ban went into effect in 2007, with no such uptick in neighboring counties. Most likely, the author concluded this was due to the fact that people were putting their food into dirty, reusable bags and not washing them afterwards. So the results suggest that San Francisco ban led to a conservative 5.4 annual additional deaths, which is not a lot, but they're saying that this could be an issue in more areas where E. coli and a variety of different bacteria are able to survive longer. Plastic bags, they get folded up, and usually you don't use them unless you're using them for like doggy bags, dog poop bags or something like that. But long story short here is that these green bags that they're always wanting us to use now may be carrying bacteria in them. So here's just some simple advice. You're buying meat, especially if you're buying meat that isn't frozen. Grab a plastic bag and bag it before you put it in what's going to be your carrying container, your eco-friendly carrying container. And you can buy eco-friendly carrying containers that have bottoms and sides that are washable. So, I would think that you'd want to do that. Don't buy, those cheapy ones that everyone wants to, they have out at the end of the shopping shelf. Don't use those to carry food items. They're going to have, the potential of spreading bacteria. So, kind of an interesting discussion point here on those eco-friendly bags. U.S. joins Google, Microsoft, and Brain Race. It's being reported that the Obama administration is gearing up to announce the Brain Activity Map Project, this effort to map an active human brain that can give new insight on how neurons interact with each other, providing new avenues of research for disease such as Alzheimer's. The U.S. will apparently pit itself against a collection of European research agencies that have announced similar projects, and the U.S. effort, however, will apparently involve U.S. businesses, which would naturally benefit from the high-profile nature of the effort. Yeah, in other words, they're going to make money off this by being funded by the government. Kind of a weird deal. That happens a lot. But Times reported that representatives from Google, Microsoft, and Qualcomm met with government representatives at the California Institute of Technology to try and figure out whether or not there are sufficient computing resources to process the vast amount of data the experiments are expected to produce, or whether new ones would be needed to be built. So that's an interesting move. And to map our brain to see what it's going to be able to do. Skyler, what are you talking about? That video is a death sentence. Which video? Did I talk about a video that, yeah, put some more information in there, okay? There's a lot of discussion going on right now about patents and how patents are supposed to protect small business people. There's an absolute stunning piece in the telegraph.co.uk website talking about a inventor who ended up being broke, even though the invention that he created is selling millions of units a year, and talks about the reality of inventors. And just goes to show you that maybe patents aren't protecting the people that really needed to be protected. He says, oh no, my bad, Todd. I wrote that when you mentioned women tricking men into making striptease-like videos. If you are stripteasing on camera and you don't know the person on the other side and they're recording it and it ends up on the internet, that just would suck. Hey, if you want your own, we talked about people getting their own UAVs. Well, there's a 1.97 scale die cast replica model being made by the folks at Maisto, Maisto. But what's kind of funny is they've, everyone wants a drone, right? So, but what's kind of funny is the customer reviews. Here's one. You've had a busy day. You've wiretapped mom's cell phone and email without a warrant. You've indefinitely detained your little brother. Timmy in the linen closet without a trowel, and you've confiscated all the super soakers from the neighborhood children. After all, why does any kid besides you, of course, even need a super soaker for self-defense? A regular water pistol should be enough. What do you do for an NCOR? That's where the U.S. Air Force Medium Altitude Long Endurance Unmanned Aerial Vehicle, the UAV RQ-1 Predator from Masato comes in. Let's say that dad has been labeled a terrorist and a secret through your disposition matrix. Rather than arrest him and go through the hassle trying to convict him in the family court of law and having to fool with all those terrorist-loving constitutional protection, you can just use one of these flying death robots to assassinate him. So just basically, these are the kind of reviews being made by this toy. It's the Masato Fresh Winds Tailwind 1 to 97 scale die-cast United States military aircraft, U.S. Air Force medium altitude, long endurance, unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV RQ-1 Predator with display stand, available for $49.99, currently out of stock. But the customer reviews are just hilarious. Really, they are. I'll link up in the show notes to the Amazon site. All right. Despite earning more than $1 billion in profit last year, social media, Facebook, paid zero when it comes to federal and state taxes. Yes, they paid zero in 2012. In fact, the website will actually be getting a refund totaling $429 million thanks to a tax reduction for executive stock options. How do I do that with my business? I need to call my accountant tomorrow and say, how do I get a tax reduction for executive stock options? I can do a disbursement to my wife and me. I can do a executive stock distribution. In the coming years, Facebook will continue to get monster tax breaks, including totaling about $3 billion. The employee cash in stock options. At that point, there's a tax deduction for the company. That's crazy. This doesn't even cost Facebook a nickel. The government treats it as wages, and they get the deduction for it. So, well, that's what happens with the U.S. tax code being the way it is. Satechi wireless multifunction mini router solves many wireless internet needs with a tiny footprint. You know, I'm looking for a smaller wireless router to take on the road with me, and I think I have found one. It's about $50. And this is a nice little pocket router. Plugs right into wall socket. Has the ability to plug a cable into it as well. Has QoS options. Does 802.11b GNN encrypted. Has the WPS single button setup. This is very cool. $50. Available via Amazon. Hopefully Amazon Prime. And again, very small little mini device. All right, that's the last article tonight, folks. We're going to wrap this up here. And hope you enjoyed the show tonight. I was had a pretty good weekend, busy. I'm pooped. I'm like, wow. It's, even though it's, my kids were off, it felt like a 3-day. I didn't work at all in the office today. So I really did have a true 3-day weekend. But boy, I tell you, my wife, she worked me to the point of having a head wound. But I told you guys about that earlier. So anyway, if you have comments on the show, tweet me at Geek News. Email is geeknews@gmail.com. Voicemail hotline is 619-342-7365. Again, don't forget our sponsors. We want you to consider going over to dyn.com, dyn.com/podcast30. Check out their offerings. If you just go over the dyn.com website, podcast30 is a 30% off code you can use immediately. Support our sponsors. They support us so we can keep the lights on. And, of course, definitely get back over to GoDaddy.com and get your 27% off on renewals and new products by using our promo code that we've got up there for you. And have that obviously in the show notes. A great way for you to save a lot of cash at GoDaddy. Of course, we've got all the codes you would ever need at geeknewscentral.com /GoDaddy. And of course, again, that 27% off code is GO28 off 1. And we want to thank GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here at Geek News Central. And again, all of you, thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of the family. And again, I'll see you next week on Monday. No Thursday show, no Saturday morning tech because I'll be out of town. That'll be 2 weeks in a row. Rob's going to be chomping at the bit to do a SMT when I get back. But do have some new travel plans that are shaping up. We'll talk about that. One trip to the West Coast, one trip to the East Coast in the month of March. So I do have, looks like right now, 2 weeks of travel scheduled. I think I'll be gone the week of the 4th and the week of the 4th on the West Coast, week of the 18th on the East Coast. And is that right? Oh, I'm looking at, 4th and 18th, I believe, are the dates in March. But we'll keep you advised on what's going on here. And all of you take care. We'll see you next time. Thanks for being here today. See you next time. Aloha.